My name is Adnan Ahmed and my topic is biometrics and ear as a biometric. So, what is biometric? The biometric is a measurable, robust, distinctive physical characteristics or personal trait of an individual that can be used to identify or verify the claim identity of that individual. The word biometric is derived from the Greek word bios and metric, which means life and measurement respectively. This directly translates into life measurements. Can ear be used as a biometric? The ear, thanks to these multiple valleys and hills which furrow across it, is the most significant factor from the point of view of identification, immutable in its form since birth, resistance to the influence of environment and education. This organ remains during the entire lifetime, like the intangible legacy of heredity and of the intrauterine life. Ear analysis is used as a mean of forensic identification intended as an identification tool similar to fingerprinting. An ear print is a two-dimensional reproduction of the part of the outer ear that have touched a specific surface, particularly helix, antihelix, tragus, and antitragus. The use of ear print in forensic investigation is known as forensic otoscopy or ear print analysis. History. Fritz Hershey in 1965 used earmark in burglary case. Alford narrowly examined 10,000 ear sample over 38 years and developed the inner system of ear identification. Developments in ear biometrics, ear geometry. In 1949, in a NRLE system of ear identification was discovered. 12 measurements taken between a number of landmark points on the ear image um, numbered the ear by placing a transparent compass with 8 spokes at equal 45 intervals over an enlarged photograph of the ear. The reference line touches the crux of helix at the point and touches the innermost point on the tragus at the bottom. A second reference line spans the concha from top to bottom. Burge and Berger approach. Neighbor graph matching. In 1998, they were the first to look into using the human ear as biometric in machine vision. The ear of each subject was modeled as a adjacent adjacency graph constructed from Voronoi diagram of the canny extracted edge curve segment. For authentication, they formulated a novel graph matching algorithm which accounts for inaccurate curve segments that may appear in the ear image as a result of changes like lighting, shadowing, and occlusion. They discovered that the features are reliable and can be extracted from a distance. Occlusion with hair can be occlusion with hair from thermograms and model-based methods are generally more equipped to handle noise and occlusions. Principal component analysis. The component analysis closely related to singular value decomposition has been one of the most popular approach to ear recognition. Images can be looked upon as vector and any picture can be constructed as a summation of elementary picture vector. Recognition rate was 98.4% on data set of 252 ear images. They have compared the performance of their method with a robust PCA RPCA as representative of holistic method. Here we'll look at some examples. The case of Mark Kempster in 2008. Mark Kempster 2008. In 2001, Mark Kempster was convicted of attempted burglary at Southampton Crown Court. Um, main pieces of evidence against him was positive identification of an ear print which was recovered from the scene of crime as his ear print. He appealed against the conviction twice. In 2008, the appeal was brought on the ground that relevant fresh evidence might undermine the expert prosecution evidence of positive ear identification. In the Court of Appeal, the defense argued against the admissibility of the ear print evidence. The jury subsequently quashes the conviction on the court one burglary, although the earprint evidence was admitted, but its reliability was challenged. So, yeah, another example of Mark Gallagher in 2002. In 1998 in Crown Court in Leeds, Mark Gallagher was convicted of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. In this trial, earprint was discovered at the scene of crime. Mm, um, Scene of crime, which was one of the main piece of evidence against the defendant. Two expert witnesses testified the defendant was the creator of the Latin earpin. No expert evidence was called on the behalf of the defendant, and defense did not seek to exclude the evidence of prosecution expert. Fresh evidence against the use of earprint for positive identification was offered as ground for appeal. The appeal courts subsequently refused the appellant's argument that if this expert evidence was available at the trial, the prosecution's expert evidence should have been excluded. The appeal court concluded that the expert evidence could not be possibly considered irrelevant or so unreliable that it should be excluded. Albeit, the appeal court eventually quashed the conviction and ordered a retrial on the grounds that it seems that if the fresh evidence was given at the trial, it might have affected the jury's approach towards the crucial earprint identification evidence. Another example of Wayne Kunze in Washington State in 1996. David Wayne Kunze was charged with aggravated murder amongst the other charges. The key evidence against Kunze was the latent earprint found at the scene. Prior to the trial, Kunze moved for excluding any evidence of earprint identification. Subsequently, the trial court convened a Fry hearing on the matter, and many ear experts and latent print experts were called. The hearing concluded that earprint identification has indeed gained general acceptance, and thus the earprint evidence was admitted. However, later at the appeal court, after reviewing the evidence given at this pretrial hearing, the appeal court concluded that general acceptance was not obtained if there is a significant dispute between qualified experts as to validity of scientific evidence. And since the hearing clearly showed such dispute, the appeal court ruled that the trial court erred by allowing the expert witnesses to testify, and that a new trial was required. Thank you everyone. As it stands, the year clearly has the potential to be one of the stock of biometric in digital forensics, both for imaginary and for recorded print, and given its proven identification capability, it appears well worthy of future study in this respect.